The sharp October wind cut through my hospital gown as I stood on what used to be my own front lawn, surgical drainage tubes still taped to my abdomen, watching my daughter-in-law Lauren hurl the last of my belongings onto the pile she'd created. My son Marcus stood behind her, his arms crossed, avoiding my eyes like the coward he'd become. "This is for your own good, Patricia," Lauren said, not even bothering to look at me as she spoke. "Someone your age, in your condition, needs professional care. Not that you'd understand. Your generation always expects family to sacrifice everything. I'm Patricia Morrison, 62 years old, and until 6 hours ago, I was recovering from major gallbladder surgery in my own home. The same home where I'd raised Marcus as a single mother after his father died. The same home I'd mortgaged twice, once to pay for his college and again for Lauren's medical school tuition. "Marcus," I said, my voice hoarse from the intubation tube they'd removed just days ago. "Please, son. I just need 2 more weeks to heal." The doctor said dash. "The doctor isn't family," Lauren interrupted, her perfectly manicured hand on her hip. "We are, and we've decided what's best. The van from Sunshine Acres will be here in an hour." Sunshine Acres. I'd researched that place when my friend Martha needed care. It was the kind of facility where they sedated difficult patients and let them waste away in their own filth. The kind of place that got shut down every few years only to reopen under new management. "I won't go," I said firmly, though standing was already making me dizzy. The drainage bag at my side was getting full, and I knew I needed to empty it soon or risk infection. Lauren laughed, that cold, tinkling sound that had fooled me for years. "You don't have a choice. Marcus already signed the papers as your medical power of attorney." I looked at my son, then really looked at him. When had my sweet boy become this stranger? Was it gradual, or had I just been blind? He was wearing the watch I'd given him for his 30th birthday, the Rolex I'd saved for 2 years to afford. His clothes were designer, his car in the driveway was a new Tesla. All funded by his wife's salary. The salary she only earned because of the medical degree I paid for. "Mom, don't make this harder than it needs to be," Marcus finally spoke, his voice flat. "Lauren's right. We need the space anyway. We're turning your room into a home gym." A home gym. They were throwing me out to make room for a treadmill. I bent slowly, painfully, to pick up my prescription bottles from the grass. The movement sent fire through my incisions, and I bit back a cry. Neither of them moved to help. "At least let me get my financial documents from the safe," I said, straightening up with effort. "Already handled," Lauren said briskly. "We'll manage all that for you. Can't have you worrying about bills and such in your condition." That's when I knew this wasn't just about getting rid of an inconvenient old woman. This was about money. It always was with Lauren. I thought back to when Marcus first brought her home 8 years ago. She'd been a struggling pre-med student, working 3 jobs to pay for undergraduate loans. Her sob story about growing up poor, about how she just wanted to help people, had touched my heart. When she got into Harvard Medical School but couldn't afford it, I didn't hesitate. "Let me help," I'd said, sitting at this very kitchen table that I could now see through the window. "I'll take out loans. You focus on becoming the best doctor you can be." She'd cried then, calling me the mother she never had. Marcus had been so proud, so grateful. We'd been a family. The loans were structured simply, in my name, but with a verbal agreement that she'd take over payments once she started her residency. Of course, verbal agreements aren't worth much when people show their true colors. "The van's here," Marcus announced, relief evident in his voice. 2 orderlies in scrubs emerged from a white van marked Sunshine Acres, where family comes first. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Ma'am, we're here to help you to your new home," the taller one said, reaching for my arm. I pulled back. "I need to make a phone call first." "You can call from the facility," Lauren said quickly. Too quickly. But I was already pulling out my phone, grateful I'd kept it in my pocket during surgery. My fingers were shaky, but I managed to dial. "Whitman Financial Services," the familiar voice answered. "Yes, this is Patricia Morrison. Account number 4-7-8-9-2. I need to make an urgent change to my automatic payments." Lauren's face went pale. "What are you doing?" I held up a finger, continuing calmly. "Yes, I need to cancel all automatic payments effective immediately. Specifically the ones for the medical school loans. Yes, all $400,000 worth." "You can't do that," Lauren shrieked, lunging for my phone. The orderly stepped between us, confused. "Actually, I can. They're in my name, remember? And I checked my watch. Tomorrow at noon, the next payment of $4,500 is due. Missing it will trigger default. We'll make the payment ourselves, Marcus said, but his voice wavered. I smiled then, the first real smile I'd had in days. With what money? Lauren's still in her fellowship making $60,000 a year. You're between jobs again. Without my credit, without my payments, she'll be in default. And do you know what happens to doctors who default on federal loans? Lauren's face had gone from pale to red. They can't take my license. I've worked too hard. No, but they can garnish your wages for the next 20 years. Every hospital you apply to will see it. Every loan you try to get will be denied. I turned to my son. Including that mortgage application you two just submitted for the house in Westchester. Oh yes, I know about that too. The orderlies were backing away now, clearly uncomfortable with the family drama. Maybe we should come back later, the tall one suggested. No need, I said, my strength returning with each word. I won't be requiring your services. Ever. Mom, let's talk about this, Marcus said, finally finding his voice. Maybe we were hasty. Hasty? I laughed, though it hurt my incisions. You threw your post-surgical mother out on the lawn like garbage. You stole my financial documents. You tried to lock me away in a cut-rate nursing home to steal my house. We weren't stealing, Lauren started. Weren't you? This house is paid off. Worth $800,000 in this market. My retirement accounts have another $500,000. Plus the life insurance. Quite a nice nest egg for a couple drowning in debt. I pulled out another phone. My work phone they didn't know about. I've already called my lawyer. And my financial advisor. And, oh yes, the medical board might be very interested to know that Dr. Lauren Morrison attempted to commit elder abuse and fraud. You wouldn't, Lauren whispered. 6 hours ago, I wouldn't have. 6 hours ago, I still believed you were family. I looked at my son, my heart breaking. I still believed I had a son who loved me. Marcus reached for me then, but I stepped back, nearly stumbling. The tall orderly steadied me gently. Ma'am, do you need us to call someone for you? The police maybe. I considered it. No, thank you. But would you mind giving me a ride? Not to Sunshine Acres. To the Marriott downtown. I need a place to stay while I empty this house of every single thing I paid for. You can't throw us out. Lauren shrieked. We live here. No, I said quietly. You live here at my pleasure. And my pleasure just ran out. You have 30 days to vacate as per state law. Oh, and Lauren? Your loan payment is due tomorrow at noon. I'd start looking for a second job. Maybe a third. The orderly helped me into the van, carefully arranging my drainage tubes. As we pulled away, I saw Marcus and Lauren in the rearview mirror, standing in the driveway, already arguing. By the time we reached the end of the street, Lauren was throwing things at my son. You sure you're okay, ma'am? The orderly asked kindly. I will be, I said, and meant it. Sometimes surgery removes more than what's making you sick. Sometimes it shows you exactly what needs to be cut out of your life. My phone buzzed. A text from my lawyer. Got your message. Filing emergency injunction to freeze all assets. They won't be able to touch a penny. Another buzz. My financial advisor. Loans canceled. Automatic payments stopped. Your credit is protected. A third buzz. Marcus, Mom, please. We can work this out. I deleted his message without reading the rest. Then I blocked both their numbers. The next morning, I watched from my hotel room as the news reported on a prominent young doctor being investigated for elder abuse and fraud. The medical board moved fast when presented with security footage from my doorbell camera. Footage Lauren didn't know existed, showing her throwing my belongings on the lawn while I stood there with visible surgical drains. By noon, when the loan payment failed to process, the dominoes began to fall. The bank called about their mortgage application, denied due to the loan default. Harvard Medical School called about the outstanding balance. The IRS called about the gift tax implications of verbally promised but never documented loan assumptions. But the best call came from Martha, my friend from the senior center. Patricia, I just saw the news. Are you all right? Better than all right, I said, watching the city below from my hotel window. I'm free. What are you going to do now? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years, despite the healing incisions. First, I'm going to heal properly. In comfort. Then I'm going to sell that house and use the money to travel. Maybe take some cooking classes in Paris. Learn to tango in Argentina. All the things I put off while paying for ungrateful people to become doctors. What about Marcus? The question stung, but only a little. Marcus made his choice. He chose his wife over his mother, chose money over family, chose cruelty over kindness. Now he gets to live with those choices. 2 weeks later, I was discharged from a proper recovery facility, fully healed and ready to start my new life. The house sold within days, cash offer, quick closing. Marcus and Lauren had already been evicted after failing to pay rent to stay. Last I heard, they were living with her parents in their trailer park, the same one she'd been so desperate to escape from. Lauren's medical license was suspended pending investigation. The loans went into default, destroying her credit. Every hospital in the state knew her name now, not as a promising young doctor, but as the woman who dumped her post-surgical mother-in-law on the lawn. Marcus tried calling from other numbers, leaving voicemails about forgiveness and second chances. I deleted them all. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ash. 6 months later, I was sitting in a cafe in Barcelona, learning Spanish and painting watercolors when my phone rang. Unknown number, but local area code. Hello, Mrs. Morrison? This is Dr. James from Mercy General. I'm calling about your son Marcus. He's been in an accident. My heart stopped, then started again. Despite everything, he was still my child. Is he? He'll recover. But he's asking for you. Says he needs to tell you something important. I looked at my half-finished painting of the Sagrada Familia, at the new life I'd built from the ashes of betrayal. Tell him I'm glad he'll recover, I said finally. But I'm no longer available for people who only remember I exist when they need something. But ma'am, he's really desperate to dash. Doctor, 6 months ago, I stood on my own lawn with surgical drains still attached while my son watched his wife throw me away like garbage. He's made his bed. Now he needs to learn to lie in it. Alone. I hung up and went back to my painting. My hands were steady now, no longer shaking from pain or medication or betrayal. The colors were vivid, alive, full of possibility. Sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply living well, free from the people who showed you exactly who they were when you needed them most. Sometimes it's choosing yourself, finally and completely, and never looking back. The waiter brought my lunch, paella and sangria, overlooking the Mediterranean. I raised my glass in a silent toast, to new beginnings, to freedom, to the beautiful life that begins when you stop paying for people to treat you like garbage. Lauren forgot who paid for her medical degree. But I'll never forget who showed me I deserved so much more than their conditional love. And that knowledge? That's worth more than any loan payment will ever be.